Behind every successful family, there is always a woman.
Positive mindset. I'm here. So many people don't even survive what I've had.
When you have built that muscle, you are able to overcome any challenge.
Successful people understand that they have weaknesses, but they don't define themselves and seeing themselves as others do. I see successful founders and successful leadership teams, when they have that balance is when they really achieve success.
When you start becoming a new person, you become a magnet and you find the billionaires.
Believe me, when you do start doing something fulfilling and you're passionate about it, people value it and they will pay you for it.
People who have inspired me, who I've learned a lot, and one of them is Rita Chowdhry. She's in this area. She's a neighbor with us. You're coming from
Oxshott.
Oxshott. You know where Oxshott is, ladies, yeah?
Anybody from Oxshott?
Well, I've known Rita for some years now, and it has been a blessing to have met her and her family, because it tells a lot if you really want to know somebody, visit their family and see how they run the family as well, as I was telling earlier. So Rita is a leadership coach, a leadership expert, a best-selling author. She works with big corporates, with big names, and her family members, husband, children, and extended family, they are all successful, amazing people. And why I'm saying it is because behind every successful family, there is always a woman.
Yeah.
So Rita, welcome. Yeah. So Rita, you this year have been a bit challenging for you. And why I want to start with this is because many times when we face challenges, we break. And a woman like you with such a strong mindset, and you had some health challenges this year, and because of your mindset, because of your capacity, you turned everything around, and I'm so grateful that you are back fully, 360 degrees to give back. So how the year has been so far?
It was actually the latter part of last year. So hello, everybody. It was the latter part of last year. I completely fit and healthy. Have all my health checks. I tell all of my clients and family and friends, your body, treat it like a car. You go and have an MOT, go and get your checks done, even though there's nothing wrong with you. But just suddenly out of the blue, I woke up one morning and had no feeling on my left side. And after being taken to the hospital and saying, no, it might just be a trapped nerve, it got worse. And finally was taken into hospital in London. They realised I'd had a brain hemorrhage. So on my right side and all the left side nerves had been blocked, so hence why I couldn't feel a temperature or touch sensation. But one thing I've learned, especially as a mother of 3 children who are all what they now call neurodiverse, is that the most important thing is your mindset. And I had to have a positive mindset and thought, look, I can walk. Yeah, it's uncomfortable pain and it might never go away. Currently, my foot feels freezing. My leg is burning because the nerves are getting all the messages wrong. But positive mindset, I'm here. So many people don't even survive what I've had. So let's get on and enjoy life and make a difference.
Amazing. Let's give her a big hand and celebrate her healing. And you can imagine how fragile our life is, because when we are running and being excited about big projects and amazing things that we do in life, sometimes we forget to pause and appreciate and celebrate who we are and what we have achieved. And your story reminds me that when you have built that muscle, you are able to overcome any challenge. So I'm so happy to see you back. So you have helped many people, corporates, entrepreneurs, with your unique formula of doing their tests. Because first, Rita also, with her family, invest a lot in startups and entrepreneurs and good ideas, but they have a rule: before they invest, they have to do a test, which Rita is really good on that. So tell us a little bit about that, and how did you develop it?
Okay, so the testing came from when I qualified as a coach after 25 years of being a teacher in a secondary school in Tolworth, and then teaching at Surrey University. I really wanted to help not just develop children, but develop. I wanted to help children and adults develop that whole mindset. So I went off and trained as a coach, and when I looked at the people that were successful, I thought, what is it that they have in common? And I found that there are 5 things. And I call these 5 things SAVVY. It's an acronym for the 5 elements of the formula. And the first one, for S, stands for self-awareness. People have an awareness of what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and what their motivators and fears are. So you don't have to be good at everything, or you don't have to be the best and most academic person or have the most resources. Successful people exploit their strengths. They define themselves by their strengths, not their weaknesses. Quite often we limit ourselves and say, oh, you know what, like Mirela was saying, oh, I can't go out there and speak on stage. I'm not a public speaker, or, you know, I can't run a business because I'm not good on the finances. Successful people understand that they have weaknesses, but they don't define themselves, and they learn how to overcome those. So what I thought was really important was that if I'm helping, whether it's a team, a CEO, a founder, a parent, to succeed, is let's get some technology, let's get proven science to help them see what their strengths and weaknesses are. So I searched on the market, and I found a psychometric profiling tool that I really liked. I trained in that. I trained as a behavioral consultant, and really helped people see what their strengths and weaknesses are from a different perspective, not just to be able to read their own personality, but to read the personality of anybody they interact with. And that will help them run their business. It will help them manage their family. It'll help them be the best and achieve whatever goals they want, because they have this new perspective on understanding themselves and seeing themselves as others do. So let me give you an example. You might have a business leader that thinks, yeah, I'm a real empathetic leader, I'm a real team player. What they might not see is that that's a great strength, but what they don't see is that sometimes they overuse that strength, and they are too tolerant of some of their team, and they take advantage of them. So I then go in and get them to see that strength can become a disadvantage, and how to overcome that, or how to deal with some of their weaknesses, like the fear of conflict. And that can be a big
always used to avoid conflict.
And how can you reframe that in your mind so that it doesn't hold you back in whatever you want to achieve? So that's really what's made my business successful. You know, coaching is a very saturated market, and going into later, I didn't start my coaching business until I was 50, and I thought, first of all, I've got to get a coach and work on myself. And I thought, I want this business to succeed from day one. And I know my strength is I'm a great influencer. I love sitting with people, helping them grow and telling them to go on holiday here or send a child to this school. That's my strength. But I also discovered my weakness is that I don't like detail. I don't like the processing. So from day one, I got somebody, I invested in getting admin support so I can go out and do the nice things like this.
Yes.
And a lot of people said, well, that's an indulgence, isn't it? But I thought, no, I'm using exactly what I've learned about being savvy. I'm aware of my weaknesses, and I'm doing something to combat them. And within the first year of my business, I won a contract with the Met Police, coaching 300 of their officers. And that was a huge win. I sat down and I said to my family, I want to write a book. I want to be on TV. I want to be on papers. They thought I was crazy. They're saying, that's typical of your profile, Mum. You love the recognition. And I said, but that's going to help me elevate the business. And within the 18 months, I achieved all of those, apart from writing the book. That came 5 years later. I think the reason I'm sharing that story with you is I didn't allow my weaknesses to hold me back, because I was aware right from the beginning what they were, and I knew what I was good at, and I carried on doing what I was good at and got support on what I'm not good at.
So that's amazing. So you're saying it's very important that we get to know ourselves.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
we get to understand ourselves, to accept ourselves, and then go and do whatever it takes, and not see it as like, I can't do this, or that is not me, or as I was saying earlier, sometimes we think we're staying in the comfort zone, but comfort zone is very discomfort.
Yes,
it's not comfort if you are feeling that something is missing and you're not doing what you're meant to do. So I love the fact that you encourage others to make sure that turn their weakness into a strength, and also use their strength, use their abilities and their gifts to expand and grow, because there is no limit what you can do when you understand and know yourself. That's wonderful, and thank you for sharing. So then another angle that I see is many times women wait until the children are grown up, and because we put ourselves at the bottom, we're busy with taking care of everybody, and we forget ourselves. And sometimes it's really hard to save that balance, to be a good mother and to be a good wife and to take care of the family, but also to follow our career, to follow our dream. So when did you start getting out of that programming where, like, wait, let me make sure everybody is taken care of, and then I will take care of myself?
Yeah. I think all women are guilty of that. We're conditioned. Social conditioning makes us that way. And I think I knew from a very early age. I shared my story at Global Women's Summit last year, and I think it's a message that Dr. Shefali gives in her book Awakenings, is that I knew from the beginning that I wanted to be a teacher. Could be because my parents were both teachers, and I lost my father when I was only 10. So I wanted to make him proud. But many girls around me, I was brought up in the Midlands, they didn't go to university, especially the Indian girls. But I pushed to go to university and trained as a business studies teacher. But I still then stayed in my comfort zone. I knew that as soon as I trained, I've got to get married, because that's what will make my mum happy. And being a widow and bringing children up on her own, society would judge her if I didn't, get married and conform to that. But I limited myself. I thought, teaching and then teaching part-time, teaching business studies, because I've got to be a good mother, I've got to be a good wife. But I remember going to events that my husband was a fund manager in the city, and going to all these amazing corporate events and being hosted at Wimbledon, and being around the yuppie era, in the 80s, where these young brokers that would entertain us were driving Ferraris. And I'm thinking, they're not any brighter than me. I'm sure I could do that job. I'm sure I could be in the business world. So I always had that urge that I'm sure I can do more. But I never did, because I wanted to prioritize the kids. I don't regret it, but I did have that feeling. But by the time I came to 50, that feeling was overwhelming. And I said, look, the kids have gone to university. Yeah, I have got to do something. And I just left teaching, didn't know what I was going to do. I got a coach and thought, okay, let me discover what I want to do. And I thought, actually, this is what I want to do. I love coaching, but I'm going to have a big coaching business. I'm not going to just be that one-to-one, 2 or 3 clients in a week. So I had high expectations from the beginning. So I set my coaching business up, but I had the support of my family, although they did think
they had to return the investment.
Yes, yeah. But I think at each stage you do feel guilty. You think, is it okay now that I'm going and pursuing my passion? So it wasn't until the age of 50, but I mean, I've shared this story in my book and in many events. Once my children saw what I did in the first year of winning those contracts and being happy, and for the first time I went to awards night in the first year I coached, and I bought the whole table because I'd been nominated. It was such an unusual feeling that I was at a prize giving where it's not me, the mother, clapping for the children or the husband. And I won an award, and I looked around, and it still makes me emotional. And my children were crying with pride, and I thought, you know what? This is a feeling I've never thought I would have at 50.
Amazing.
That I'm growing, and my children are proud. And then 6 months later, my son says, "Mum, if you can do it, I can do it." So he left his EY job and set up his own business. And 10 years later, he's now 36. He has a venture capital business and was funded £50 million by a British business bank, and now £100 million is his next fund. And this is a boy that's dyslexic, that the school teachers around here, he went to school at Downsend and then St. John's, they said, "Oh, he's just average, because he's dyslexic. Don't have too much expectations."
Wow.
But everything I preach in the Savvy Principles, I did with him. Understand your strengths. And he loved business. He loved IT. He sets up a business where he invests in IT businesses. He's just pursued his passion. And looking at me and thinking, "Mum, if you can do it, I'm sure I can go out and run a business." So what you were saying earlier is that when we grow, everybody around us grows. We take them on that journey. So don't feel guilty. We'll always feel guilty as mums and as daughters and, of aging parents. So I've got to be there supporting them. I've got to support my husband's career, my partner's career. But I'm telling you, when you put yourself first, everybody around you grows.
Yeah. That's why put your oxygen to yourself first and raise your standards. And this is what the message is all about. Raise your standards and think big and go big. And once you do that, then everything around you start changing. And I love the story of your son as well, how he saw you as an example. But also I know a little bit more about these dynamics. What happened is when he started his business, he invited his father, your husband, to work. And then tell us a little bit more, because I really love the dynamics. So sometimes we share this story.
Reese was about 2 or 3 years into his business, in his late 20s. And by that time, my husband, Jeff, had given up his career.
He was thinking, I'm retired now.
Early retirement, but he was getting bored at home. So he went and sat in Reese's office. And slowly, Reese recognised his strength, that Dad's got corporate investment experience. I could use a bit of this for nothing. And so he roped him into the business, as well as getting me to profile every founder that he invested in.
And what I really loved is Jeff said, "Okay, I can come and help you, but do not expect that I'm running your own business." And it's an unusual dynamic. So now he is fully fledged in the business, but it is my son's business, but my husband works with him. Going back to that profiling, the personality profiling, I said to them from day one, you are completely opposite profiles. So you working together will be really good, because one person's strength is the other person's weakness, and you can really support each other. And I see successful founders and successful leadership teams, when they have that balance, is when they really achieve success. And and they've done it. Their growth is... Rita also did our profiles, me and Ian. We went like half a day in her house. I mean, her house is just spectacular, like a big hotel, bigger than this hotel. And we spent half a day with Rita, and we did our personality test, all kind of tests. And what you discovered about us has
Can I
helped
share?
us. Yeah, of course.
They are completely opposite, which again, I said is great teamwork. But then when somebody's opposite to you, there's a risk of conflict, because Mirela's a real fast-thinking, strategic, outgoing person, and Ian's more of that reflective thinker. Let's work this out. And so Mirela might get annoyed with his pace being slower, but to work with him saying, that's good if you can get the balance. Sometimes, Mirela, you need to slow down and allow Ian to look at the detail and work out how to execute your amazing vision. So I think when you work like that, I do that with families, even with children. When people see the combination and dynamics as a family, it's really helpful to avoid those conflicts.
No, it really helps
and
us.
elevate each
And
other.
many times we'll just tell each other, like, remember you were this, and remember you have to slow down, or you have to do this. So it really helped.
Yeah.
And one more thing, Rita. I want to take you back to that big feature in the Daily Mail.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you mean that you run your family the same way that you run your business?
So remember, I was qualified as a business studies teacher, the first cohort in this country to train as a qualified business studies teacher. So part of that, I was doing education psychologist modules and business models. So I've always had that kind of mindset as how can we use what we'll do in the business world to develop families. Because at the end of the day, family is a team. Like I coach a whole team in a business. So why don't we use all the tools that they use in a business to develop the family? So using that frameworks, the S, let's start from doing personality profiling and understanding how we are different and how we can support each other's weaknesses. So we started off with that. And then the A in Savvy is Achievers Mindset, having the right mindset. We support each other on what are your goals. So we do annual goal setting 1st of January, wherever we are. We normally take a family holiday. We've done it on safari in South Africa. We've done it on a beach in Jamaica. And just sit down and say, to share what your goals are for the year so we can support you and stretch you and hold you accountable. Having weekly meetings, less so now because they're in their own homes, but we do still catch up and we had a monthly meeting. And just taking time to understand where are you in your life, what are your challenges, how can we support you, what are your aspirations. So this year, beginning of the year, it was last year, my younger daughter said, I want to go and work abroad, and this is the 1st of January, so I don't know what to do. And then we all brainstormed and said, look, try Boston, it's a safe place. She works for the London Stock Exchange, ask your company if they'll do you a transfer there. And these are things she just hadn't thought of. She just wanted to go abroad. The support of all of us. Within 3 weeks, she'd gone back to her boss, got permission to have a transfer there for 6 months, reached out to our network of people that we've got and said, right, how can we find you accommodation? She'd got it all done and dusted. And that's the power of having those family goal setting.
Support system.
And then we've got our family charter, which we've written up in and put on the wall, and we live by that and we hold each other accountable. So one of the things we've put in our values is to have open and honest conversations. And 7 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with chronic lymphatic leukemia. And it's an unusual kind of cancer because you don't treat it straight away because it's blood. If you start attacking the blood with chemo, it weakens the body. So they don't do it until it's got to a certain level. So the doctor said, look, he's got cancer. We know we can attack it for 7 or 8 years. It'll stay away with chemo, but we won't do it straight away because if we wait 3 years, then that means we've got 10 years because the chemo will work for another 7 years. So he came home and says, we don't need to tell the children because they're just going to worry and there's nothing they can do. I can carry on with life. As I am, they don't need to worry on a daily basis. So initially I agreed. Then I remember our family charter is open and honest conversations. And I said, how are you going to deal with this when it comes to a year's time? And we say, we didn't tell you. We're not living by those values that we've expected the children to live by. And he says, no, you're right, Rita, we do need to tell them. And we told them, and it was the best thing we did because we just all, as a family, sat down and had a plan. They know I'm the worrier and I'm not the best person to go with Dad for the chemo. So they set a plan, right, okay, Reese, my son's going to go with Dad for chemo and he's going to talk about football and cricket and distract him. and mom's going to worry. So we're going to get a network of people, a friend that is a doctor, a friend that's just smart, a friend that's emotional, and put almost like a board together. So when she's got worries, she can go to them. When the test results come, she can say, look, are we doing the right thing? Should we be pushing for a second opinion? Should we looking at alternatives? And it was the best thing that happened. We all found our support systems for Jeff and for each other by having those conversations. And I know you're thinking, well, your children are adults, but I'm telling you, it works even when your children are 7 and 4. If you get them around the table and start having conversations with them at a young age, you're teaching them the art of communicating, which is lost because of social media these days. I'm telling you, I have 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds for work experience with me, and you ask them to make a phone call and they look at you like you've asked them to chop their arm off, and they're just like, no, I can't make a phone call. So we've really got to develop those skills in our children at a young age of having open, honest conversations, and then they rely on you as their network, not others, and influenced by others. Which takes me on to a point I can't stop saying it. The savvy, the framework that I talk about, the last letter is, I change it from a Y to an I, and it's inspiration. And I think the secret to success is once you've had the self-awareness, the achiever's mindset, understand your values, understand your verbal communication style, is that you've got to seek inspiration. And this is the kind of place you will get inspiration from. You've got to get out of your business. You've got to get out of your network of normal friends. When you want to elevate yourself, you have to be around like-minded people. And to come to these kind of events, it's the first thing I'll say to my clients is, which network groups are you in? Who are your friends? Show me your friends, I'll show you a future. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, how many successful entrepreneurs do you know that you're around? If you want to be able to speak on stage, how many of your friends have done it? The chances are none. So you've got to go out and find those people. So what Mirela has set up here is amazing. It's a great opportunity. Every conversation I've had, just Tinker and Ophelia, I've learnt something in a 5-minute conversation from them. You need to get out there and meet new people that are like-minded. So you're doing a great job.
We missed you at the summit this year.
Yes, yeah, I was away.
So where have you been? You're doing retreats as well. Are you still doing these retreats?
I do annual retreats for women, just for women. 5 days we go off to Turkey, and 5 days of juice dieting. So while you're cleansing the body, and I know so many women say, I can't do that, Rita, I can't.
I told you that.
They all do it, and they come back. And by the end of it last year, 2 of the women who said, I can't do juice diet, ended up doing a water fast for 2 days. And you feel so good. And while you're cleansing the body, it's a time to cleanse your thoughts and minds and create new goals, create new network of people that will support you. We talk about topics, have group coaching sessions every day about letting go, forgiveness, and knowing who you are, what your values are in a very safe environment. So we do those every April, the She Savvy retreats, and amazing network of that you create. The women we had this year, there was one girl, we went in April and she was getting married in May, and she invited the whole of the group to her wedding, and we had a fantastic time. And she says, Rita, you look at the video and you guys made my party. She says, because we're such a close bond, and we were so happy for her because we knew the challenges that she went through to get there, because she shared them with us. So we were so excited for her. And she said, not only did you have the best time, you made the party.
Anybody's getting married?
But we're also there for funerals. You know, the year before, 2 of the girls there lost their parents, and everybody showed up, because you build that bond with those people when you've been vulnerable with them.
Wow, that's powerful. Is anybody who has a question for Rita before we give the mic to our members?
And I feel like I failed if you haven't got a question. So please ask. The A is achiever's mindset. I don't really like to plug, but my book Get Savvy is available on Amazon.
Bring some books
I
next
know, I was
time.
thinking that. And it's in my book. So A is for achiever's mindset. V is for values, knowing your values. And sometimes we need to be aware how they affect every decision we make. Sometimes we need to reorder those values. Like I value family very high, but came to a stage in my life where the family didn't need me so much, and I thought it's okay to just put that a bit lower down in the ranking and put, achievement higher, because I wanted to feel a sense of fulfillment and achievement. So achiever's mindset, values, verbal communication. I mean, it's not just about being a public speaker, but it's about learning how to talk with influence. And once you do that, it makes you confident to get up and speak in front of an audience.
And that's why we created the influencer membership, because for me, the influencer doesn't necessarily mean just to have, followers in social media. For me, an influencer is exactly what Rita is saying, when you have the ability to inspire somebody else to take actions. So many people are paralyzed on taking actions. Otherwise I call it analysis paralysis. So they analyze, they overanalyze, they think about it, and is it wrong? Is it right? Should I do it? Should I not do it? And the more you postpone it, the more you go into no decision, and no decision is not a good decision. And we have to build the confidence to understand that you don't need to know all the answers at the beginning. The answers will come once you start. And let's say, even if you don't know what you're doing, and most of the time I've met women who started and they told me they had no clue what they wanted to do, but at least they had the courage to start. And if you don't do it right, you have the ability to trust and adjust on the way. So that's why it's important that we surround ourselves with the right people, and we be influenced by the right people, because we are very easy influenced. But if we got influenced by, otherwise I call it psychovampires. There is a book which I translated. It's called Psychovampires. It's a famous psychotherapist in Germany. He wrote this book. And psychovampires are people who suck our energy. And what does it emotionally? That means that, let's say Rita, if her, and most of the time they are family members. Sometimes we are psychovampires. And my son sometimes says, Mom, don't become a psychovampire, when I say, oh, it doesn't work, oh, it's not good, it's not a good idea. So let's suppose Rita had this idea to give up her teaching career and start a new chapter in her life. So imagine if you would go back to your family members and they would say, no, it doesn't work. No, you can't do it. You don't have the ability to do it. And they would suck your energy and belief and confidence to do it. And many women, I met many women who really wanted to do something savvy like you, but they didn't have the right energy around them. So that's why it's very important that you surround yourself with people who influence you to get out of the comfort zone, and who believe in you, who elevate you, inspire you, because that makes a big, massive change. So what you shared with us, every single word, it just like reminds me that it's so true and it's so real. But also we have to make sure we apply, because let me tell you one more thing. Sometimes people remember me for this story. Raise your hand if you believe that knowledge has power. What if I tell you no? Okay, so how many people you know that they have huge knowledge but they are powerless? Money. So knowing one thing and doing what you know, they are completely two different things. Many times we know something but we don't do it. Now, let me give you an example. Do I know how to lose weight? Oh, hell yes, I know. I have all the recipes, I have all the knowledge, but do I do it? So that's why it's important that we apply the knowledge, because the knowledge doesn't apply itself. So what I learned from Rita is, once you have a calling, and maybe I guess you had a breakthrough or a kind of... I call it a calling or a breakthrough, because no matter what, you do not stop. And I believe even if you meet these psychovampires, when you convince on yourself, you don't listen to them, because you are certain that you are here for a mission. And the story that I share, there is a famous quote in Albanian. We say, otherwise I will start like, raise your hand if you feel you're smart, right? And we all think we're smart. But the question here is like, being smart sometimes doesn't help. Because I've seen all the smart people, they want to be cool, smart, and broke. And the opposite is like, you want to be a bit crazy, you start your adventure and be stupid and build your empire no matter what people say. And I got this from a story. When I launched the magazine, it literally took me 2 weeks to launch the magazine because I couldn't find a job. I couldn't find a hope to survive in this country. I started my first job as a cleaner and I was fired in 5 days. So it was really hard. So exactly. Honestly, I'm a really good cleaner, and Ian says you're a good cleaner when you clean. Yeah. But I don't know how much do I like cleaning now. So I remember when I really tried everything. You know, when you have nothing to lose. When people have nothing to lose, this is when they get out of their comfort zone. When people have something to lose, like a salary, a paycheck, or whatever, they stay there in the prison. So I had nothing to lose. So I said, I'm going to try. So I was in a call with my sister, and she said, you have all your life been working with magazines. I was editor-in-chief of Psychologist magazines in Albania. And she said, you know people who can help you in Albania. You help them to find a job. You have connections, call them. And I did exactly this. I called them and said, look, guys, England or America is not a dream as you think. You have to really work hard. It's not like you come here and everything is flowers. Because many immigrants think that. I said, I'm broke. I'm really struggling. So I don't have money to pay you, but can you work for me just 2 months? Give me 2 months' time and I will do it. And guess what they said? They said, we will help you as long as it takes. You have helped us, we'll help you. So I got all my old team from Albania, and they helped me to build the whole magazine in 2 weeks. Everything. So I remember I take a few copies of the magazines because my sister printed these copies and sent a box of magazines. I didn't have money to print it. She delivered it to me. And also the printer did it for free because I printed for years the magazines. I made money for them. So they said, absolutely, we'll support Mirela on that. And I remember I take a copy of the magazine and I go to the Research Center for Migration where I was doing my PhD. And I say, guys, look at this. I was so excited. And the first people I wanted to show is to these academics. And I said, oh, wow, what is this? I said, who does this? I said, me. And they said, well, what do you mean me? Who is the publisher? Me. I said, who is the owner? I said, me. I said, what do you mean? I said, why did you keep it secret? Why you didn't tell us? You were here 2 weeks ago. We are working in a similar project like this. We could do it together. And I said, guys, 2 weeks ago, I had no idea I was doing it. I said, what do you mean? You did this in 2 weeks? I said, yes. How long have you been thinking about your project? They said, we've been working on it about 2 years. I said, I'm sorry. I'm Albanian. In Albania, we have a very famous expression everybody knows. While smart people are thinking about it, stupid people already have done it. And I meet smart people all the time. They're thinking about it, and they're thinking about it. They want to make it great in paper. It will never be perfect in paper. The best way to do it, just start and adjust on the way. So, Rita, what would you comment on that?
Oh, absolutely. The whole philosophy of coaching is to get people to take that action. What is your dream? What is your goal? And let's just take one small action, not be fearful of, well, I don't know what will come next or what all the blockages and obstacles will be. Just take one action and that movement will have a ripple effect and the universe will help you help you get to that final goal. But the hardest thing is just taking that first step.
You remind me this book of Paulo Coelho, and honestly, if there is something that really has saved me is reading books. I remember when I was in the village feeling lost and completely desperate, I was reading these books of these big names like Tony Robbins and Kiyosaki and Les Brown. And if it was not for these books, I don't know how I would survive. So you remind me this book of Paulo Coelho. He says, when you desire something, the whole universe turns around to support your
that
desire. But the question is, why some people have lost the ability to desire more? I mean, I've been there. I couldn't have the ability and the strength to desire something that goes out of my miserable place.
But if they haven't seen it around them, if nobody around them's achieved that, so they've had that inner dream, but it's only when they surround themselves with people and think, oh, you know what, I could do that. And when I started,
I didn't have role models. We don't have examples. You mean?
Yeah, when I started my journey as an entrepreneur, my brothers have been entrepreneurs. They never went to university. They set up their business and they're hugely successful. They have 300 Costa Coffees in Ireland. I suddenly started wanting to go back and have conversations with them and saying, well, what are your business challenges? Who are the key people in your business? What are your people challenges? What are the most successful people? Why have they been successful?
Success is not by accident.
Yeah, and then I look at my friend who started as a baggage handler in British Airways and now owns, well, he's a billionaire now. God knows the Aurora hotels. He has hotels everywhere. And you see, like, whether it's my brothers, whether it's somebody like Surinder and other people that I featured in my book, like Jasminder Singh, who's a hotelier, Lord Blunkett, who's blind. How have those people achieved success? And it is all down to, that mindset and then creating that dream, but looking at people that have already achieved that dream. And surrounding yourself and on back to your point of the inspiration, I call it that daily inspiration. We should always seek some daily inspiration. And okay, we might not have access to billionaires, but we have through a book, you can read the story of somebody that's a self-made.
And honestly, when you start becoming a new person, you become a magnet and you find the billionaires. Until I had the ability to believe what is possible, I didn't know these billionaires exist. Now I'm surrounded by billionaires every day. I have best friends, billionaires, which it seems like a natural thing for me now. But I had to become that person to be able to attract these people. Now, we're not saying here that everybody should be a billionaire, but because we are running a business, why not think to build an empire?
Yeah, or even take yourself to the next level when you study those people, listen to podcasts, and you just take one lesson from that, and you think, right, how am I going to use that in my life, just to, whether it's to get my revenue doubled or deal with that people challenge.
But Rita, also sometimes, because I've been traveling around the world, met like at least 1 million women so far. The biggest challenge I see, and maybe you ladies can share your stories as well. The biggest challenge at the beginning, and that was me as well, when we start something, we have this kind of programming, thinking like, oh, no, I'm not doing it for the money. But then we come to a point where we burnt out. We have exhausted our resources. We have exhausted our savings. And of course, we are taught that money doesn't make you happy. But one thing that nobody told me is like lack of money makes you feel miserable and takes your integrity away. If you have no money to treat a friend when you sit for a coffee, or to buy a book, or to pay the rent, or to do the basic things, that is not right, especially for us women with all these skills and all these hats and all these abilities. It has to be a way where we empower ourselves financially. So from your experience, Rita, and maybe if somebody has a question or something to share, do you think that it's a pattern that maybe we need to break, where it's nothing to be ashamed if we have the ability to earn our own money?
Yeah, success isn't always about money. It's just that I might want to go have that sense of fulfillment.
Yes. But how can you have a sense of, I want to come to your retreat, for example. But if I don't have the money, how can I come to your retreat?
I mean, the money gives you financial freedom. It gives you freedom to make more choices in life. But I suppose, especially if you've been the mother that stayed home, it can be quite daunting that how am I going to go out there and earn money? Who's going to pay me? But you've all got skills that are worth something to somebody. You just need to tap into those. Everybody has. That's what my job as a coach is, to find what your strength is and convert that into something that's meaningful and fulfilling for you. And believe me, when you do start doing something fulfilling and you're passionate about it, people value it and they will pay you for it.
So how about we give a big hand to Rita?
Thank you.